What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Let's Build the U.S.S. Enterprise A 2.0 Tutorial Season 1 Episode 5. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and help me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Today we've got about a 15-minute episode and some change. We're going to be picking up right where we left off with our lower hull. We'll be slightly shifting gears and getting some more work done on the deflector dish, and then we'll wrap up today's episode with getting a little bit of work done on the pylons. So without further ado, let's kick back, relax, and we're going to dive right into this thing. So really what we have going on here at this point in the build, we're going to have to start to figuring out two things: the width of our lower hull as we reach the tail end of it, and then also getting our pylons in place. Typically on a Constitution class this would be very easy to do, to add them on, but with this specific Constitution class, the pylons are directly connected, so this is going to be something that we have to take into account. So I want to get briefly what we got going on here. You can see that these wings, you guess you can call them on the sides, we're just going to fill these in. And you're going to want to fill that in on both the left side and the right side. We're going to have to make some adjustments here in the back. And you know, that's okay though. You know, it's funny, I was watching this show and they made a point that if you're not coming across any challenges in your build, that you're not taking enough risks or chances to try out some crazy cool things. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to try out some crazy cool things to see what happens. So what we're going to do, you can see that I started with my first cut line right here, and I'm going off the hull cuts. I'm not doing anything fancy. You want to do this on both the left side and the right side. We're going to start to bring the width back and maybe try to get a gauge for where placement is going to end up having to go for our pylons. You see the same thing there? I just went with the cut line. If I wanted to, again, I could add another cut right there. But you don't want to add it to add it. You want to add it where it makes sense to. And we're just trying to get to a point where all of this starts to blend in together. Now, one mistake that I'm making right now, and I'm really not going to start to correct it until we get later into this specific episode, that I really need to start building out the pylons, because the pylons are one with the lower hull on this specific Constitution class. So that's really what we're going to have to do, but we are going to get there before today's episode is over. But right now, let's just continue on with our process of stretching out our back end and blending it in a little bit further. So I'm going to take this light gray concrete and I'm going to bring this going all the way back. And eventually that's going to wrap around going with the cut line on the bottom side. So that looks pretty good. You want to make sure if we're doing one thing on one side, do it on the other. This way it stays fresh in your mind. So now we're going to come back and we're going to do a pass going along the back end of our lower hull. We're going to add a lip going with the cut. So this way all of our patterns are matching up. This is where I say that follow your patterns, follow your cut lines, because your cut lines ultimately are going to help you in your placement of blocks and what you need to do. And maybe it's a situation where your pattern isn't looking the way you want it to. Make changes to it. But your pattern and your cut lines, this is something that I follow, or I try to follow where I can, and it's just helped me to make my build just a little bit better. Now that's looking pretty good, what we got here on this back end. That doesn't look bad at all. We're slowly getting there. But again, we need to start working on our pylons here so that we can get this so that we can really get this rocking and rolling. It's crazy that already in episode 5, we're already going to be getting to the point where we're going to start working on the pylons. So I'm really happy with the progression that I'm making on this tutorial series. We're really rocking and rolling as we're going through this. Really happy with the progress that we're making so far. But we're going to knock this out. We're going to get there. We just have to really take our time here and analyze it. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to slightly shift gears, and I'm going to pop over to the front nose of our lower hull, or the deflector dish, whatever you want to call it. And we're just going to add another row of white concrete going all the way around. Now we're going to go down and forward one with the cut and do that going all the way around. I had somebody ask me a couple weeks ago on my Discord, like, why I don't post my building materials, and maybe that's something I could start doing, but to be honest with you, one of the reasons that I don't is that once you guys have gone through my tutorials, like, I pretty much use the same building materials for all of my builds. There's going to be some variations here and there, but for the most part, it all ends up being the same. I use pretty much all the concrete blocks. I also use the quart blocks and also the quart half slabs. And then it's just a combination of some of the texture packs that I've got in Minecraft. If you want a list of those, just go on the Discord. I've got them posted for you guys in case you want them. So now what we got going on here, you can see that we updated our lip, and we're going to take this blue line and we're just going to delete the front row of it. So you can see basically what we did. We thickened it up by 2, but then we moved it back and made it 1 again. Once you complete that step, we're going to be moving right along, and we're going to be thickening up our neck and making it a row of 3. So not counting the very center, you're going to do 1 row on each side, giving you a total of 3. Once you do that, then we're going to come back and we're going to go in 1 with the cut, following our cut line, going all the way up. Follow your cut line. As long as you're following your cut line here, a mistake cannot happen. That looks pretty good. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Once we've knocked that out, now we're going to start, and we're going to actually dive right into working on our pylons. So I wanted to back up just a little bit because I kind of shot through it a little bit fast, and I want to pause it just so you guys can get your placement for it. So you can see right off this first hull cut line that's going all the way around the lower hull, this is going to be our starting point. You say I went up 1, went up 1 again. I'm just going to go up 1 with the cut. Now, then we're also going to start transitioning backwards 1 with the cut. Now, one thing I will say on the pylons, my first attempt at doing these ended up being just a little bit more ambitious than what we end up with. Because basically what I had in my mind and kind of what I drew out on the concept art that I had made is that the pylons kind of go a little bit inward as it goes further back, and I wanted to try to pull that off, but once I actually got these things built out, I realized that having them cutting inward was going to pose a couple of problems, namely making them blend in together, and then also getting it to blend in with the lower hull. And for that reason, I ended up opting out of doing it this way, and we end up with what we have in the tour episode. So I'm not going to build this all out again. You guys saw me do it on the left side. You want to make sure you repeat that same process on the right. So now we're going to come back. We're going to be going up 1 with the cut, and we're going to be bringing that going all the way back to our next cut line. So you can start to get an idea of what I mean now is that every row that every transition point we go inward, because I'm trying to be fancy here basically, and it's just not working out. And look, here's the deal: stuff like this is going to happen. Don't be afraid to try out new things. If I never tried out anything new, my ships would look so different than how they end up coming out, and it's because I'm willing to take risks and chances and try to come up with better ideas. So I say, like, you got to throw something down, see what it looks like, to help to progress you on that journey of figuring out what changes you need to make to get this to come out as good as you can. Sometimes it ends up being really clear, cut and dry. Sometimes not so much. Now, see, this is where I'm starting to talk about with the blending, where it's going to start to become a problem because of the pattern that we're going in, and you'll see it along the sides. Like, I really think that this was worth doing. I really do. But it's not like the cut lines. For me, it's making my eye twitch. And I don't know, it's not jiving up. And this is ultimately why we're going to end up not using this exact template. A lot of the placement we'll end up keeping though, but we're just going to pretty much just bring it straight back. But just make sure to follow these steps with me. This way we're all on the same page, so that when we edit this, what I have will match what you have, if that's what you're wanting to do. If you decide, like, you know what, Zero Elite, I hear what you're saying, but I kind of like how these are going, blending inward, and I'm going to try to make it work. Hey, if that's what you want to do, I say go for it. Do whatever you want to do to your heart's content with this build. Whatever it is that's going to make you happy. Because at the end of the day, we're spending all this time to build out this Constitution class. Might as well have some fun with it and do what we enjoy. You know what I mean? I've been very actually happy with the views that I'm getting on the Constitution class on this tutorial series, and then also the tour episode. I've been getting quite a few views, even more so with Voyager. I'm not really all that surprised about it though, because Enterprise A has been one of my top requests. But that could very well end up getting us to doing a season 2. Still carefully watching that as far as where my views are, but I think if everything continues in the direction that we're going in, then season 2 will more than likely be almost a guarantee if I continue to get the views that I'm getting. Alright, so now we're going to do a building line going straight across. Just want to make sure everything's matching up. We're looking pretty good so far. Now, one of the other challenges too with this specific part of the build that we're doing, so the challenge, well, what I'm trying to achieve first, and then we'll get into the challenge of adding more elements of the original Constitution class refit into the Kelvin timeline. So one of the key differences that I really want to emphasize here is have the pylons arching backwards, just like they were in the original Constitution class. One of the challenges with that is, how are we going to make it work having our pylons basically arching towards one another? Because in the front they arch back, and then in the back they arch forward. So that's going to be something else that we're going to have to consider as we're building this out. Um, yeah, see, and like I'm trying so hard to make it work here with this pattern that I currently have, but it's just not. It's not jiving. It's really not jiving. And what I'm trying to do right now is start to build out the placement for where the nacelles will eventually go. And then from there, we can start plotting out the back end template of the pylons. All right, so we're going to bring this line back. I didn't count this out block for block, but make sure that you do that. And look, here's the thing. If you end up being off by one or two, it's not really a big deal. When I'm building these things out, I eye it. Um, I don't have a ruler or anything like that and comparing it to my 3D model and stuff like that. I just look at it and I try to get a gauge of the proportions. And that's pretty much what I do. So if you're off by one or two blocks, don't beat yourself up over it. It's not really a big deal. All right, we're looking pretty good. Everything's matching up. So I don't want this these builder lines clogging up our build here, so we're going to clean that up, get rid of it. And now try to start to visualize some of this. Now this back piece here, I don't foresee this being that long. Yeah, because what will happen here, this will go in a little bit like here, and then it'll start to come back. So we kind of be making a funky looking triangle on the top, essentially. But it'll look good. But by the time everything's said and done, this will look really good. But we've made some pretty good progress today. We've banged out 15-minute episode, really shot through that today. But I think that's going to do it for me. So I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. If you did enjoy this episode, if you can help me out, hit that like and subscribe button, help me in supporting the channel. Drop a comment below. All that stuff helps out my analytics. And if you're looking to help me out, that is the number one thing I can ask of you guys. Other than that, if you have any questions regarding today's episode, just drop them by to say, hey, be sure to drop a comment in the comments section or in Discord. Definitely love hearing from everybody. And yeah, that's going to do it. So I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Post your photos in the Discord so everyone can see them.